This is that moment of truth where we find out if the internet gives us another day. What do you say, internet? Do we get to be online one more time? Just one more time? Is YouTube going to be first again? Come on, Rockfin. Come on. You know me, I got to wait for them all to load and then I got to see it or I don't know if it's real or not. And there's a bit of a delay because I don't have an on-site producer, and I'm waiting for people to come on in. So come on in, everybody. And Rockfin, what is going on today? What is going on today, Rockfin? Well, we might not be on the Rockfin today. Oh, wow. Okay. Rockfin is not happening. All right. I don't know if we're on the Rockfin today. Sorry, y'all. Here, let me try to refresh it. See if I can get us booted on the last platform here. It's not looking good. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, I guess. A refresher was all we needed. All right, we're there. Oh man, I am a tech genius, you guys. I figured it out. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Happy Tuesday. It's that time of the month, which means Savage Joy is on the show today. But before we get there, a quick shout out to everyone who makes this show possible. Our friends over at Indie Left. Indie Left is the only place to find all the content creators and streamers you know and love. Joy's on there. I'm on there. A bunch of people are on there. They curate a list. They update it twice a day. They make it easy for you to find out everything they got going on and to subscribe to their Discord. They're dancing over at the Discord. Go to independentleft.media. That's independentleft.media. All right. Without further ado, like I said before, it is that time of the month, which is the time where Savage Joy joins the show. You know her, you love her. She's the host of the Unruly. Wow, I stumbled over that one. The Unruly Hour with Savage Joy. Please welcome Savage Joy back to the show. What's up?
Hey, it's that time of the month. We need a jam.
We do need a theme song. Yeah, we need some kind of jingle. I'll get on that. I'll make that happen at some
Yes.
point. So you have had a lot of news over the weekend. We're going to get into that. First, I do want to do a little bit of just general news before we get into your news. So let's go here first. The U.S., Biden specifically, U.S. carries out air raids on Iran-backed militias in Syria, Iraq. According to them, that's what happened. Strikes marked the second time the U.S. President Joe Biden has ordered retaliatory attacks against. So the United States carried out another round of air raids against Iran-backed armed groups in Iraq and Syria in response to drone attacks against the U.S. personnel and facilities in Iraq, with the militias threatening to retaliate. In a statement on Sunday, the U.S. military said it targeted operational and weapons storage facilities at 2 locations in Syria and 1 location in Iraq. It did not say whether it believed anyone was killed or injured, but the Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said at least 5 fighters were killed, several others wounded. The attacks came at the direction of Joe Biden, the second time he has ordered retaliatory attacks against Iran-backed militia since taking office 5 months ago. Biden last ordered limited bombing against a target in Syria in February, that time in response to rocket attacks in Iraq. So they're claiming that these are all retaliatory measures, but what we do is we go and bomb under the threat of potential bombing, and then guess what happens? People retaliate because we bomb them. Because here's what happened. U.S. troops in Syria attacked after airstrikes on militias. U.S. troops in eastern Syria came under rocket attack on Monday with no reported casualties, one day after U.S. Air Force planes carried out airstrikes near the Iraq-Syria border against what the Pentagon said were facilities used by Iran-backed militia groups to support drone strikes inside Iraq. So we do these preemptive strikes to try to prevent what they might do, and then people retaliate because guess what? Nobody likes being bombed. And then we say, see, we told you there was war. And then the cycle continues like it's been going for 50 frickin' years. And here's Joe Biden doing it. And Congress doesn't have a thing to say. He just does it. He just does it because of authorities that were given, I believe, during the Bush administration. He just does it when he wants to. He just drops bombs when he wants to. And no one's asking how we going to pay for it. No one's asking, like, why did we really do this? No one's asking, Is it time to end the economy of war? No one's asking these questions. And here we see more of the same. When he said nothing would fundamentally change, that's the only promise he's keeping. And they're barely talking about this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting also interesting / infuriating to see the way that corporate media words these things. They'll always throw in defense, always. That word's just always there. And it implies it's our defense. They're defending us somehow, even though, like, we're in other countries who don't want us there. So yeah, it always comes back to this defense budget. It's not a defense budget, it's a war racket. Like, let's get it straight. And yeah, that the MIC is, well, first of all, is the biggest polluter. But also, we continuously kill people in other countries, and it's just looked at as normal. Obama himself created, he was bombing 7 countries, and I could be wrong, but I think 5 of them he did not get congressional approval, just like Joe Biden did not get congressional approval. I forget what statute it is, but it is actually supposed to be required.
Right, but then after the AUMF, that all changed. Like the authorization use of military force, that all changed, and it was supposed to, again, based on from my memory, it was supposed to only be used in like serious situations, but it's just used all the time. They just gave it to Bush. Really, they gave it to Dick Cheney. Let's be honest. They gave it to Dick Cheney. And, it's supposed to be like an emergency thing only, but now it's just common practice. It's just common procedure, whether it's Obama, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, it's just common procedure now.
I mean, the thing is, though, blue bombs are better than red bombs. We have to acknowledge that. Like, This bomb has a rainbow flag on it, it has cool bumper stickers on it. So if it kills Black and brown people who are not harming us directly, it's a blue bomb. That's all that matters.
Right. And it's so ridiculous. And the craziest part too, like just take a step back and say this sentence out loud. We are concerned about Iran, so we just attacked Iraq and Syria. Just let that sink in. And now you wonder why most of the world hates us. And, we're just sold this BS from the Pentagon, and then we bomb. So then people are like, well, gee, we don't like being bombed. So then we're like, see, told you there was war. And they're just creating it. Like they're just like, they literally manufacture war, and they manufacture consent. Gee, where did I hear that before? I mean, it's just the same nonsense nonstop. And it's so destructive, and it's destroying our planet, and it's morally repulsive, and it's killing innocent people around the world. And people just, have you ever had a conversation with someone who is even presumably, quote, on the left, and they justify it? They justify our imperialism, where they're just like, oh, well, if it wasn't us doing it, someone else would be. Really? Somebody needs to take up the empire flag? Where is that a requirement? Where is that required? Point me to this passage, and I'm thinking maybe it's time to evolve from it. Well, if we wouldn't do it, someone else would. Really? Someone else has interest in bombing the frickin' planet nonstop? I'm not saying there aren't other bad guys in the world. Of course there are. But we're really leading the charge, and we are the empire. That is definitionally what we are. And we will see the same fate. We're already starting to. And, like these people who are just, well, I mean, we're a force for good in the world overall. How? How are we a force for good in the world? How are we? Well, they're a threat to us. How? What do they do? What do they have? Well, our freedom. I mean, it's like it's amazing how close the kind of latte liberals, like shit libs, whatever you want to call them, they're so close to the neocons. Like, they both justify the same imperialism. They just use more flowery language than the terrorists are going after our freedoms. Like, but they have the same. The message is the same. just instead of saying the terrorists are going after our freedoms, they're saying, well, we kind of have to. Why?
Absolutely.
Well, because Russia, because China. Like really? Russia, their GDP is less than California. Russia's going to start bombing the world. China has interest in starting to bomb the world. What evidence do you have for that? What can you point to that supports that? Nothing? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We see this all the time, and that's why I'm like, prior I called myself politically homeless. Well, now I kind of call myself movement homeless because, like, I don't even want to think of myself as a leftist anymore because so many people who call themselves that, I'm like, you sound like K-Hive. I mean, you're just trying to rationalize all kinds of shit. But I
Well,
digress.
I consider myself a leftist because that has meaning throughout the world.
Well,
And
this is true.
I'm not gonna let like a small like group on Twitter dictate, my political not my political alignment, but like the way I designate my political alignment. I'm not gonna give them that power over me. You know what I mean?
That's
But
fair.
I see what you're saying. I'm not trying to like dismiss what you're saying, but
No,
I'm just
I mean that's a totally valid point. And I digress, but I do want to give a shout out to the incredible Mike Gravel, who was always a hardcore fighter against war and just such an ally and so brilliant and so wonderful. And may he rest in power.
he was one of the few, you know, good guys. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like in electoral politics, and I can't wait to read Dennis Kucinich's latest book because I think it really unpacks all that. You either, I mean, it's like what they said in Batman, but it's totally true. It's like you either become the villain or you die a hero. And I mean, that's not necessarily applicable in the literal sense in electoral politics. I mean, we all die someday, and Mike Gravel left us recently, but in the metaphorical sense, you either just play the game and shut up and collect your paycheck, or they get rid of you or put you under their thumb to the point where, they're going to stifle you as much as they can before getting rid of you. That's what happened with Gravel. That's what happened with Kucinich. That's what happened with Bernie. That's what happened with Nader to an extent. That's just what happens. And we're seeing it now in its newest incarnation with the squad. You either play the game or we're going to make your life miserable. And if you have nobody pressuring you to do more because the base is coddling you, well, what are you going to do? What are you
Yeah,
going to do?
that's the thing about Gravel. Like, even though, like, yeah, the squad has pressure and stuff, but they folded. Gravel, like, throughout his life, he's like, fuck this. I know what I believe. I'm sticking to it. Like, he's totally punk rock. He was amazing, and he was such a cool person, and so witty, and so genius. And it's watching the way places like WAPO and New York Times and stuff, it's predictable, but calling him like a gadfly and like all this weird
That
shit, like
was so shitty. Oh my God. The Washington
ignorant.
Post, they called him a gadfly with a sense of theatrics, right? I think I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
That is so disrespectful to somebody who just died. Meanwhile, John McCain dies and everyone lines up to give him a tongue bath. Everybody like across the spectrum even lined up to give that guy a tongue bath, a war criminal. John McCain was not a good guy. And, I am one of these people, like just as like a human, where it's like I don't like to speak ill of the dead. Like I just don't like to do it. So I will choose to say nothing at all. I will not, like I will either just say how I feel or I will say nothing at all. And in some cases, I will choose to say nothing at all. But the whole like, well, you got to respect the guy. No, you freaking don't. No, you don't. You have the if you're weird about that kind of thing, I actually share that. I'm that way too, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like, 12 years of Catholic dogma that's still like a little bits floating around where I'm like, I don't like to speak ill of the dead. But saying nothing at all because you have nothing nice to say, that's not speaking ill. And lying about somebody, that's not being respectful. That's just lying. So if someone said, is John McCain a war criminal, or was he? I would say, yes, he was. He was not a good guy. He's no longer with us. You know, that's life. But I'm not going to sit here and lie about the guy. Like I'm not going to freaking do that. So many people. And meanwhile, Mike Gravel, a guy who exposed war crimes, who really like stuck by his principles till his last moment, who went down a fighter too. I mean, he was active until the end, which, you know, it's awesome that he was in relatively good health his entire life. He lived to a decent age of 91. He went peacefully, as far as I know. Like, I don't think he suffered a lot. So that's great. And, you know, rest in power, and he had a great life. But it's astonishing that the fact that Washington Post published that headline. I mean, it's not surprising at all. Like, it's anything but surprising. You know, and then they had, I think they did like a video memorial. They had freaking Dave Weigel. They had Dave Weigel narrate that thing. The guy who was, yeah. Oh yeah. Someone sent that to me. I couldn't watch
You're joking.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I couldn't watch the whole thing because I was worried. I was honestly worried I'd throw up on my computer. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even embellishing. I thought I might vomit on my computer. Dave Weigel, the guy who was cheering on the wars and holding rallies for the wars that he didn't have the courage to go fight in, but he's having rallies for the wars that Mike Gravel was against. And he's doing a memorial for that guy now. Our media is a parody. Yeah. Our media is a parody of a parody. It is a disaster. It shouldn't even be fucking legal. Our media structure wouldn't be legal in Norway, by the way. For anyone who's curious, our media structure, the way it's just given to corporations and oil and gas advertises on it, that's not legal in other countries because it thumbs its nose at the idea of press freedom. When you're beholden to advertisers and corporate interests in Wall Street, you're not doing news. You're doing PR. That's why our news structure is illegal in a lot of other countries. And you see some of the effects of that. That's what, when you have stuff like that, you see a totally disrespectful obituary to Mike Gravel, and you see a warmonger literally do a memorial for him. They couldn't write this in the fucking Hunger Games. They couldn't. No one would buy it. They'd say it was too far-fetched, but it's our dystopian reality. So
please tell me people weren't like liking and sharing that
I have
video?
no idea. I'm sure some people were. I mean, of course some people were. You know, I mean, these are the people with the power. You know, I mean, so yeah, it's
anyone WAPO reaches out to do a memorial is not someone who should do a memorial. They're just not. My God.
Yeah, it's so crazy. So let's get into your weekend and what's been going on with the March for Medicare for All, because yeah. So let me just hand it over to you. You know, what happened?
So Sunday at 11:30, I got a message saying that why did you book a white supremacist as a keynote speaker? And I'm racking my brain because I've literally scheduled the majority of the speakers of all 34 marches. So I'm like, who the hell could they even be talking about? And then they send me this meme of this guy. And I'm like, wait, I don't even, what? So, you know, and this person's telling me this is a white supremacist and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, something's weird about this because we would never do that. Like, we have tons of co-organizers and speakers who are Black and brown. Like, why would we do that? And so I'm looking into it, and it seems as though this guy's name is Matthew Heimbach, but this person who made the meme put Matt H. Bach. So even if it was, you know, researched, I don't even know if
let's clarify a few things just to kind of like give people a play-by-play. because I'm not even totally clear on the exact timeline there. So you guys have been organizing marches in a number of different cities, and that multiplied, which is a good thing. A lot of people are wanting to organize marches. And somebody in Muncie, Indiana, was it like somebody proposed this guy and then made the
No,
graphic? Okay, so how did
no.
that unfold? Like, how did that happen?
We actually have never had a march in Muncie, Indiana, and that's in Indiana, period.
Okay.
And that's very obvious. If you look at the website, it's not listed. If you look at our promos, it's not listed. So somehow a person or persons came in the group and had this meme promo thing made. And I guess the person who made it didn't know who it was. Quite frankly, a lot of us didn't. And the person who requested the meme used a different name. You know, it was Matt H. Bach instead of Matthew Heimbach.
Hmm.
And the person who made the meme just, you know, there's over 200 people in the group, and they
So the
say,
person who requested it was definitely an infiltrator.
"Oh my
Obviously.
God, yes!"
And then
And
was because I didn't know who Matthew Heimbach was until
I
this
didn't
weekend.
either.
I don't keep like a list of neo Nazis in my short term memory, but I mean other people do because they're geniuses, but I'm just not that bright. And so was this, do you guys know, like, was the neo-Nazi himself even like involved, or was it just
No.
someone? Okay, so it was just someone who was just throwing a wrench in there. It was just someone
Yes.
who was like, I want to organize a march in Muncie, and I'm going to use this fake name to make a neo-Nazi a speaker because I'm trying to ruin you.
We have no proof this person even was organizing a march
Right. It was
or
just
that they
to
reached
screw
out
with
to
you
him.
guys.
Like nothing. We literally, the only thing we can prove is they did a meme.
Hmm.
So we have no information. The way that it
So
works is
wait. So
Mhm.
I might have I might have missed something. So the infiltrator also made that graphic.
No, no, no. They submitted. I
They
need a
submitted it.
graphic
Okay.
for this
Okay.
person. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
they're
They
like, yeah,
submitted it.
I'm the organizer, and we need a graphic for this person.
Yes,
And the graphics person just like nothing. It was just a random name, so
right.
they just did it because they're a volunteer, just volunteering their time, and it was a fake name.
Correct.
So okay,
Correct.
so that's
So
the timeline.
right. And of course they feel awful about it, but like honestly, many of us didn't know who this person was, and it was not even the correct name. So it was made, someone brought it to our attention. As soon as we saw it, post was removed. We made two formal statements. We had absolutely nothing to do with it. Why we would self-sabotage makes no sense. But no, the person also requested a meme of the guy who created the Garfield comic. Like, no, we did that. Like we want the Garfield comic guy to speak. So it was obviously, an infiltrator. We worked incredibly hard to track them down. We did find one and expose them on Twitter. I'm not allowed to say what else we're finding, but I'm just going to say there's more to come. But no, we have no reason to think that there was an actual march or that these people were contacted. This was literally just someone trying to ruin what we're doing.
Yeah.
And in some cases, it worked.
Well, yeah.
Because
Well, that's the sad thing because I mean, look, obviously an error was made. Like, there's no
yeah,
denying that. And
totally.
the organization is, I think, taking accountability. They're like, yeah, we screwed up and we're working to make sure this doesn't happen again. Um, and you know how many leftist organizations or progressive or status quo shifting organizations have been infiltrated? All of
All of
them.
them.
All of them. All of them for the
Yeah.
past 100 years. that has happened. So, I mean, yeah, you try to be as cautious as you possibly can. And we're all trying to walk that line of being very cautious, but not being overly paranoid either. Because, I mean, I mean, I've had people accuse me of being CIA before. I mean, it's like some people, it's like they're so paranoid.
That's the new grifter. You're
Right.
FBI. You're
Yeah, yeah,
CIA.
yeah.
You're
Yeah,
CIA.
comedians that stream from their living rooms. That's where the intelligence agencies are going. That's
Suspect.
where that's where the big influencers are. But so yeah, and that is going to push people away from your movement. If you disagree with them in a conversation, they accuse you of being CIA. That might push people away. So you have to draw that line of caution versus paranoia. And again, I'm not saying like that excuses any mistakes or that you shouldn't be, like, hey, we're taking responsibility. We're acting to make sure something like this doesn't happen again. But to try to destroy somebody over it, which people
That's
are. I
what
mean,
hurt.
people are trying to destroy you guys because of it. And it's like, how can you think someone's acting in good faith if they're not having a reasonable criticism? Like asking questions is fine. Hey, how did this happen? Who did this? Who's running the ship here? What's going on? That's all fine. But hey, look at what happened. Let's destroy these people now. Let's destroy these volunteers who aren't getting paid a dime, who are calling for healthcare, who are putting themselves on the line for healthcare. And I mean, what are people asking for? People are asking for something the rest of the industrialized world figured out almost 100 years ago in some cases, decades ago in most cases, a universal healthcare system. And these are the people you want to destroy. This is what you want. You look around and you think, I'm an activist and I'm a good person, and this is what I want to destroy. I want to destroy volunteers fighting for the healthcare system that we should have had decades ago if our politics wasn't bought and owned by corporate interests. But they're not doing it the way I think it should be done. So they're an enemy and I hate them. And I hated Force the Vote. And I hated this march. And I hate the state approach. What is approved? What is approved? Every single action you hate. You hate the idea of a general strike. What don't you hate other than AOC's Twitch feed? What don't you hate? What is okay? What are we going to wait for? Till Joe Biden changes his fucking mind? Till the squad actually decides to use their leverage? Is that what we're waiting for? A lot of people don't have that fucking luxury.
Yeah, like it's very upsetting because, like I'm a disabled person who is mostly blind, who's been giving 8 to 10 hours every single day for months, working my ass off. And there's more disabled people than me. And when you put your everything and your soul and run up your charge cards for sound systems and stuff like that, and you're doing it all to get people fucking healthcare, and you have someone infiltrate, which is totally fucking believable, and you're being told that it was you guys doing it, like we're really gonna self-sabotage all of our work for this piece of shit. We're really gonna do that. It is heartbreaking to see these people who swear they're leftists come on my page and tell me I deserve this because I dare criticize AOC and things like that. Like, you are taking Black and brown people and calling them Nazis to the point where they are thinking about quitting and not organizing anymore. You are literally, I booked a Black Panther, Miss Reverend Annie Chambers, and people are calling everyone in our group Nazis. Let's just be clear. When you talk about a group of over 200 people, many Black and brown, and over 300 speakers, many Black and brown, and you attack people like that and call all of us Nazis, you are a piece of shit. Let's just get that straight. It is so upsetting as someone, as an activist and a disabled person, to see people try to take us down. We have 34 marches. We have thousands of people planning to come out to this, while y'all sit there and tweet hashtags. We're actually doing the work. You don't have to come. You don't have to like it. You don't have to share our posts. But to try and destroy a grassroots thing of individual activists from across the country who have put their heart and soul into this is so incredibly disgusting. And seeing these people I once thought was comrades doing our fundraiser, canceling us on shows, things like that. It's like, and people are saying, we believe you had nothing to do with it. We know you're not Nazis, but I'm going to get hate on Twitter, so you can't come on the show.
That's saying you're not allowed to make a mistake.
Exactly.
You as a volunteer, you are not allowed to make a mistake. So I guess that person never has. I guess that person has never screwed up before. That person
and you don't deserve a chance to, defend, speak your piece, whatever. This has been like 3 days of hell. Especially for the Black and brown people who are organizing. We already lost one because they're literally being called a Nazi. And what do you gain by that? What do you gain? Because you are hurting us, but more importantly, you are hurting Medicare for all. Because when you have thousands of people in the street at 34 locations across the country, and you're trying to make that movement look bad, that's really counterproductive. It's not good. You're hurting that cause that you say you so adamantly support. So, yes, we have taken strong measures since then. And as I said, we have found one of the people and we have more exposures to come. But to witness the sabotaging we've seen in the past 6 years, and then think it's so crazy that someone could invade a group and do a meme. This is what blows my mind. This is why we have such divisiveness and stuff like that, instead of saying, you know what, shit happens, that's a mistake, it's obvious they wouldn't self-sabotage and literally insult every Black and brown person on their team and everything like that. It's just incredible. Just admit you're hoping we fail. That's what this is.
Yeah, I mean, and it's and people, I mean, yeah, it is totally, and for the people who aren't satisfied with the group's explanation, it's what do you honestly believe that these people, I mean, a lot of people involved with this are similar to you, where they have a serious medical issue going on. And I forget the name of the condition, but you are losing your eyesight, and you can say the name of it because I'm drawing a blank, and you can say it so I could stop feeling
myopic degeneration. I've lost 85% of my sight.
So you have myopic degeneration, which is causing you to lose your sight. It happens sudden. It has put you into all kinds of debt. You have a heartbreaking story that is still going on. I mean, there's been some glimmers of hope, some people that have helped you get equipment to do your show, which is awesome. We had that fundraiser. It was Marianne Williamson and myself and Mike Figueredo, and that was a great time. So, of course, there are some bright spots too, but it is still a brutal thing what you're going through. And of course, you could speak to that a hell of a lot more than I can. But my point for bringing that up is a lot of people involved with this have a story like yours. They have a story as to how they were brutalized by our insanely ridiculous, quote, healthcare system that nowhere else in the industrialized world has anything close to what we have for good frickin' reason. And to think that all those people would say, you know what, let's just mess with people and bring a Nazi into this. Like, you really think that? You think that sounds more believable than somebody infiltrated to cause trouble? And these are a bunch of volunteers, so there was a clear oversight. And yes, they need, there needs to be more caution in the future. You need to address this. You need to figure it out. But it freaking happens all the time, everywhere. That's what these people do. That's what neo-Nazis and white supremacists do. They try to infiltrate things, especially online, where it's really easy to be anonymous. I mean, I remember, when the Jimmy Dore show first started live streaming, when we first started doing it, we used to pre-record everything. When I first got involved with the show a couple years ago, everything was pre-recorded. And then we would do one live stream a week on Saturdays. And when that first started and people would super chat, there would be people. And again, this was maybe, and I feel bad because this was maybe about 5% of the people who would super chat, probably even less than that. But there would be people who would try to get you to read these dog whistles. They would do these subtle, or they would recommend some terrible person that they were assuming you didn't know about. So you'd be like, oh yeah, I'll have to look into that person. And maybe that person was some terrible person. And then they're going to screen grab that, and it's and this is happening in real time. The chat is moving very fast. The chat jumps on you and you have to read this stuff in real time. If you miss something, you see other people in the chat saying how stupid you are and that you can't read. And it's you know what? This is a lot harder than it looks. You try to read this stuff in real time. Some people are writing you their manifestos and you have to be well, I hope I don't say something terrible here, but I'm doing this in real time. There's thousands of people watching. You do it. Tell me how easy it is, by the way. But I mean, it got to the point where I had to give a disclaimer every 2 seconds, right? To be I don't know what this person is. I don't know who this person is. This is this person's chat. This is this person's chat. I don't know who this person is. And I felt bad because, again, that was only a necessary thing to do about maybe 5% of the time. The other 95% of the time, it was just people recommending cool people. You know what I mean? And I would even get emails later where they're like, gee, Ron, you seemed almost disturbed by my super chat. And here's the person and it was some, propaganda intellect, like someone who studies propaganda, someone who seemed totally interested. And, I feel bad. I'm sorry, but people try to do that. That's something that happens. And then, that there's bad faith actors on the other end who are waiting for you to accidentally say something you're not supposed to that someone submitted. Then they're going to screen grab it and use it to destroy you. That's not movement building. That's not good faith. That is, I am petty and I just want to destroy people who I don't like for whatever reason. Your approach to Medicare for all, I don't approve of it. So I want to destroy it because at the end of the day, for me, this isn't about actually getting Medicare for all. This is about me not having many friends in my fucking life. So this little online community is all I have. Or worst case scenario, maybe you are getting some money from David Brock. I can't say that that's the case for anyone. I have no clue. But would it shock me? No, it wouldn't. So, so that's what it is for some people. It's posturing.
It is. And I, many of our volunteers are new. I'm not saying that as an excuse or anything, but, the march was started with one march in DC by two gentlemen, Sharif and Ricky. And Sharif has literally never organized anything in his life. and they're both in New York, and said, we're going to do some for Medicare for all, set this up in DC. This was in January. Okay. And then the past 2 months, we've expanded to 34 marches. Now, a lot of the people have never done it, and I myself have organized plenty, but in Pennsylvania, it's a very different animal organizing outside of your state, not to mention we're dealing with DC police and permits and that clusterfuck. So, which we got. But when you go from like 3 people to 200, because all of a sudden you have 34 marches nationwide, and you have people saying, I want to help, I want to help, I want to help. It is so incredibly overwhelming. Like, I can't even describe it. Like, we eat, sleep, and breathe this movement.
Yeah, and none of you are making a dime.
No,
none of you are
this
getting
isn't
paid
even an organization. Like, we're literally just individuals who have just gotten pissed off to the point where we're just like, we're sick of sitting online. We're doing something. So for people to think that someone couldn't just say, I'm a leftist, I want to fight for this, I'm an activist, and get into our group, like, are you really that naive? Like, you're really that naive. You've never, followed someone on Twitter or friended them on Facebook and then said, why am I following this person? What a douche canoe. You've never done that? Really? Because, hindsight's 2020. And like I said, we have, changed things as far as, protocol is. But when you go from 3 people to over 200 in less than 2 months, show us how it's done. Please do. Just show us, and we'll abide by how you do.
So I think it's safe to say that puts it to bed. I mean, right? I mean, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm still getting shit, but we need to focus on the people who are hurting by, we're witnessing eugenics of the poor. Like, this is what's going on, like, period. And we need to keep that in mind. We need to keep the people in mind who are hurting, the disabled, and people in our movement. Literally, the guy who designed our website is in the hospital from emergency heart surgery. They don't think he's going to make it. So, like, these are the people you're calling Nazis. Like, he literally might not make it because he can't afford the next surgery. They're going to let him die. So you come at us saying we're Nazis and stuff and trying to destroy our movement. That's who you're hurting. People like that.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing that people on the so-called left even can just be like, yeah, this is what I need to destroy. This is what I need to destroy. You look around in the contemporary United States, which is an absolute horror show, and you look at 2 parties owned by Wall Street. You look at a complete war economy. You look at a collapsing climate and no one's doing anything about it. You look at oil and gas going on unchecked. You look at a corporate media that shouldn't be legal and isn't legal in other countries that have actual press freedom. You look at the persecution of journalists on the other side of that coin. You look at living wages being a distant memory. You look at the decimation of unions over a 100-year effort. You look at the decimation of communists, socialists, anarchists, because they certainly don't want anyone to come together and a new deal to happen ever again. And you see people in desperate situations organizing for a healthcare system we should have had decades ago anyway. And you say, this is what needs to be destroyed. something is seriously wrong with you. Something is seriously wrong with you. And by the way, you yourself are a true testament to our failed healthcare system too, because you never talked to the person you should have talked to that would have made you not make these choices in your life to say, yeah, this is what needs to be destroyed. A bunch of volunteers trying to get universal health care that are volunteering their time 10 hours a frickin' day. I couldn't volunteer 10 hours a day if I wanted to. I wouldn't be able to. I mean, and you guys are doing it. You guys are putting yourselves on the line for this. And because some asshole infiltrated it for the sole purpose of causing chaos, you want to destroy that. You're a fucking asshole too. You are a fucking asshole too. And, you know, this is part of the reason why we're in the situation we're in. This really is. Because this is our Overton window in the United States. This is our Overton window. You're either on the right or you're on the, pseudo left, where it's like, well, let's destroy people organizing for Medicare for all, because they're not doing it our way. What is your way? We have nothing. We have nothing. Our way is hopefully. What do you think? You think politicians are going to go, hey, time to get on Medicare for all in response to all this not pressure people are applying? You think Joe Biden's going to have a change of heart? What do you think's going to frickin' happen? Would you force the vote? No, not good enough. A state approach? Nope, can't do that. A march? Nope, can't do that. What's your fucking plan? General strike? Can't do that. What's approved?
Hashtags.
No shit. Hashtags. You guys are brave. You guys are really fucking brave. Good for you. Good for you. Keep tweeting. The fuck?
It's your grandkids are going to say in the future, Granddaddy, what did you do in the Second Depression? And
I shit on a blind woman on Twitter. I shit all over a woman who's losing her eyesight on Twitter because of an oversight that she herself had nothing to do with even. But I shit on their movement and I shit on all of them. That's what I did. God. It's something. It is something.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, there is not a day where I don't wake up and I'm not embarrassed to be an American. I have not had one of those days since I was 18 years old. Since I woke up and realized what we were doing in Iraq and why we were fucking there. Every day that I wake up, I am embarrassed to be a resident of this country. But that embarrassment has reached new heights in the past year. It has reached new heights. It's embarrassing to be American. And anyone who's not, I don't know what you're paying attention to. Anyway, have you heard any good music lately?
I went to see my first concert in over a year and a half, and it was so fucking good. It's this band called Too Many Zoos, and they're like ska, and they have no words, but the singer has like a green mohawk and like a bunch of tattoos, and he plays the saxophone like professionally. He's incredible. And then there's horns and drum, like handheld drums. And they were so phenomenal. They put on like the best show. So good. And I just got tickets to see Cold War Kids again. I've seen them several times. So yeah, what about you? Have you heard anything new?
In a couple days, there's going to be the this first night thing in San Pedro where I live. I'm going to go and try to cover it actually, but Mike Watt's playing. Oh. And yeah, he's a Pedro guy. He's kind of like the big Pedro mainstay. So his band is playing, and a bunch of other bands are playing too. So my wife and I are gonna go check it out. It's like right in the middle of in downtown Pedro on Thursday, and I had tickets for the Hold Steady, but they already pushed it back to 2022. They pushed like some of their dates back to 2022, and that was Los Angeles was one of the dates they pushed back to 2022. Gosh, I wish my summer calendar was a little more loaded. There's this really cool punk rock festival going on right on the docks in Pedro, but it happens to be the same weekend as my cousin's bachelor party, so I have to miss it because I don't want to miss my cousin's bachelor.
Tell him to change the date.
Well, if he was into the same stuff as me, I could be like, why don't you have it here? We can
Yeah.
all crash on the floor in my apartment. My wife will probably go stay with a friend for a few days or something. She's like, I'm out of here if that's what you guys are doing. And we'll just have like however many of us crashing in the apartment, partying hard. But that's not really his speed. So yeah.
Tell him pot Rice Krispie treats. He's there.
He would be, actually. He totally would be. Do you want to join me for some super chats?
Yeah.
All right. That's cool of you. Let's see. Patrick Leslie, what's up? You say the best leftist platforms, and you put leftist in quotes, to any audience larger than a niche is basically a group of amendments at best to our Constitution, correct? I don't think I understand your question.
I don't get it.
All right, well, let me read it again. Maybe there's something we're missing because I don't think I understand this guy's question. Sorry, Patrick, but here, I'm going to try again. The best leftist platforms available to any audience larger than a niche are basically a group of amendments at best to our Constitution, correct? I feel like maybe there's a few articles in there that, yeah, sorry, man, I don't understand your question. I am desperate to see an example of a modern constitution. Okay. Yeah. Oh, wait. So you clarify here a little bit. The U.S. Constitution is biblical to the right in more ways than on the nose. The left has no canon, no document devised by our greatest minds to offer an actual structure from top to bottom, a proof of concept for another way. Okay. All right. I think I see what you're saying. I still, the wording of your question, I'm a little confused. I don't understand what you're asking exactly, but I guess you're saying that the left needs, kind of needs our own document. Well, there's the Communist Manifesto. I think that's, and then there's, what are some other good kind of lefty, basically anything Emma Goldman wrote, I think is pretty solid. There's Capital, Das Kapital by Marx. That's pretty solid. There's, what else are some good? Proudhon, I think. Property is theft. I'm a big fan of that guy. There's Lucy
Debs.
Parsons, Eugene Debs. And what's the other? What was some of the Thomas Paine stuff? I've read like there was one of his.
Yeah,
I used to do a thing like every 4th of July. I would read something that was like, old philosophy from the U.S., but from the side that they really tried to hide. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to think of like some of those
old Chomsky before he became a shit lib.
Common Sense by
by
Thomas Paine. Tons of stuff by Chomsky. What else? Chris Hedges, his books are great. And I mean, and it's funny too. And again, I don't know if we're actually answering your question here, Patrick, and I do apologize for that. But I think that there's a lot of texts that are viewed as these conservative canons, quote unquote. But when you actually freaking read them, they're really not. Oh, someone shouted out, listen, liberal, absolutely. 1984, totally. But like an example that comes to my mind is Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations. People make it out like that's some big conservative canon. If you actually read it and read the whole thing, it totally isn't. That book would actually be considered like lefty, especially by today's standards. He was calling for a very small wage difference between the CEOs and the workers. So he was calling for living wages and high wages. He was calling for workers' rights. He was calling for like labor to have a say. So these were not right-wing ideas. The only thing was he was okay with the idea of a marketplace. Like, he was fine with that, which, by the way, a lot of different sects of socialism are also fine with that. And he was okay with people having their own house, basically. So it's like he's viewed as this big conservative icon, but like they're very much cherry picking what he actually said and what that entire book is about. It's closer to Marx than it is to Ayn Rand, a lot closer. So, so I would say maybe people really just need to read the text. All right. So Patrick, I think that covers it. DCK Punk, when will you guys respond to the fact that you're emceeing an event with YouTubers that elevate white nationalists? Feel like that's been addressed.
I thought I just talked about that for like 15
Yeah,
minutes.
I feel like it's been addressed. I really do. I think it's been addressed. And, I'd like to think this question was in good faith. I'm not sure if it was or not. But
Maybe they just tuned in like right now.
well, no, it's from a while ago, so it might have been before we talked about it. But either way, DCK Punk, I don't know if this is in good faith or not, but just to play it safe, I don't want your $5. I will be donating it to a cause. I'm not sure where I'm going to donate it yet, but I will donate your $5 to a cause. I don't want your $5. So I'm going to go ahead and donate that to something that's, some kind of good cause. Do you have any, what do you think, Joy? Do you have any recommendations?
Medicare for all March is pretty cool.
Well, something separate. I want to do something like totally separate, like some kind of like a peace organization or something that's
I
working.
always do the Humane Society, and I know that's like totally separate. But
well,
you know what?
Like something working, maybe something working specifically against racism.
Okay,
like
so there's this group that's called Open Spaces. They're in DC. We've been kind of talking with them as far as like guests and scheduling and CASA.
What's that?
CASA is a Hispanic group of, well, really all Latino, Hispanic, Black, Brown people who help undocumented people and also like justice for people of color and immigrants.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I'm going to look into it, and I'm going to make sure that this goes to some kind of peace organization. So DCK Punk, if you want to give more, feel free to do another super chat. Most of the people in the chat seem to think you're not really in good faith here. So feel free to do more, because any dime you give, it ain't going to me. I'm donating it. So anyway, but yeah, there you go. Amit, thank you very much for the super chat contribution. You give us a fox with a thumbs up. Good job side. Thank you very much for that. I love the cartoons that people have. Long Beach, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. I hope all is well. Thank you so much for the super chat contribution. Jason, what's up? Support for you, Ron. Keep on rocking. I will, Jason. I will keep on rocking in the free world. Thank you so much for that.
Air guitar.
Patrick. Patrick, you're back. It's okay. It's hard with so few words. I apologize. It's all good, man. Yes, we have lots of old documents, but we don't have a new American Constitution written by those who experience modern America. Man, somebody smarter than me needs to write that. I think
who the hell could we get? I don't know.
Well, I've said this, and a lot of times people laugh at me when I say this, but I really do believe this. I think we need a digital Bill of Rights, because I think it's time, like, especially with issues of, digital rights is an issue that I'm, that I dwell in a lot. I try to cover it as much as I can on this show. Like municipal broadband, net neutrality, stuff like that. And online censorship. And when you look at what's going on and the fact that we have no we don't have any point of reference to try to enforce any type of law and order in a constructive way. Our law and order is just, well, Mark Zuckerberg and his friends can do whatever they want as far as who can be seen and who can't. And that's not meeting the moment. Technology has passed up the law. So I think that we need a digital bill of rights. And I think it needs to include how social media platforms need to behave. I think they should be required to follow the free speech laws of the United States. We already have freaking free speech laws, guys. We already have that. We just need to follow it in the digital world. And I think it should have net neutrality and municipal broadband. So I think we should have a digital bill of rights. Am I equipped to write such a thing? No. I wish I was. I really do. I'd love to. I think that Shahid Buttar could. I think that Shahid Buttar, like, and not by himself, but like people of that level of expertise. I mean, he's got. I'm pretty sure Shahid has a law degree, and he's been dwelling in these spaces for years and years. So people like that, that's who should write such a thing. That's who should write such a document. Yeah, there you go. So, so that's that. Let me see what else people are saying. But yeah, I hear you, Patrick. Ricky Perez Jr., what's up? You're killing me, Ron. I'm sorry. Democracy Inc. by Sheldon Woolen is who Chris Hedges is referencing half the time. Inverted totalitarianism. You know what? I have heard so much. I have actually never read that book, and I'm going to write it down because I feel like I should. So I have heard about that book, and I've not read it, but I need to look into that. So thank you for that, Ricky Perez Jr. Let's see. What else do we got? Michael, what's up, Michael? And Michael, you say, just wanted to say, love the work you both do. Thank you so much for that, Michael. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Patrick, let me go ahead and thank everyone. Patrick, thank you so much for your super chat contribution. DCK Punk, the organization I'm giving your $5 to, says thank you as well. Amit, thank you. Long Beach, thank you. Jason, thank you. Patrick, thank you. Ricky, thank you. Michael, thank you. Rockfin's kind of screwed up today, which sucks. If anyone's chatting in the Rockfin, I can't see it because I had to refresh the page. And now I can't get to it. So Rockfin, I think we're live, but things are kind of a little goofy. So if anyone's chatting in the Rockfin, I am unable to see it, and I apologize. But yeah, in the meantime, thank you all for being here. Large Marge, what's up, Large Marge? We need to compile a list of grievances and how they offend the Constitution, like the Declaration of Independence did against Britain. Yeah, I mean, the Declaration of Independence is quite frankly, a pretty that actually gives us a lot of stuff when you like really read it. And I think that's why they wrote the Constitution. They wrote the Constitution because they were like, ooh, we don't want people to have this much freedom. We better rein this in a little bit. Let's write the Constitution to kind of balance out this Declaration of Independence. Because you know what the Declaration of Independence allows us to do? It allows us to form a people's legislature and make our own freaking laws, which, we gave Mike Gravel a shout out at the beginning of the show. His final book, The Failure of Representative Government and How to Fix It. I think I'm paraphrasing the title a little bit there, but you can find that book very easily. That's what his last book is all about. So I really hope that we see his life's work come to fruition and we have a people's legislature someday. That's what I really hope for. I think it'd be a hell of a lot better than our system now. So
hell yeah.
So thank you for that, Large Marge. Joy, where can people go to learn more about you?
So my Twitter is at SavageJoyMarie1. My shitlib parody book is at savageandpat.com. Our March website with all of our locations is at m4m4all.org, and that's the number 4.
All right. Well, thanks for coming back again. Every month. Last Tuesday of the month is when Savage Joy joins the show. And just to give everyone a heads up, and I'll say this really quick. The Julian Assange case, the United States case against Julian Assange is starting to come apart at the seams, which is obviously good. But I would say everybody, as of right now, be very cautiously optimistic. This is not over until Julian Assange is out of prison and a free man. So there has been some encouraging news over the past day or so, but boy, there's still a long way to go. So please maintain your dedication to these causes. Maintain your your ear to the ground. And be cautious with your optimism. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just saying that that's the reality of the world. And also, we'll be diving. We'll be doing a deep dive into recent developments tomorrow on the show. That's the last Wednesday of the month, which means Chris Moen joins the show. All the Pennsylvanians at the end of the month.
Buddy.
Yeah. So
yeah, and also, as far as the Sean Assange goes, feel free to go to Howard Dean on Twitter and tell him to go fucking.
Oh, that guy. That was you know what's funny? I think he went on a blocking spree too.
He did,
because at one point that tweet wasn't available.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he deleted it, so I tweeted and I was just like, "Wow, Howard Stern to tweet or Howard Stern." I just said that Howard Stern, but I said something along the lines of like Howard Dean, deleted that tweet quicker than that tweet got deleted quicker than his run for president. And then that tweet eventually came back. But so I don't know if he deleted it and then didn't or what happened. I think it was just he went on a blocking spree. So I thought it was deleted, but it actually wasn't. But I left the tweet up anyway though, because screw him.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, we'll be doing a deeper dive into that tomorrow, and that'll be at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Chris Moen will be joining the show. And in the meantime, check out Joy. Follow everything she has going on, and you know the drill. Duchess says wolf, and Lucy says meow, and Savage Joy says peace and Medicare for all now, and I say peace and Medicare for all meow. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Thank you.